sorry. I know, it's iconic, but not iconic enough, I guess. Unhauling this. Oh my god, I can't handle this lighting. Hi, cat. And I am decidedly in my hater era, and I don't like joy in books. Would I recommend this to anyone? Honestly, no. We're following this family. I believe they're Cherokee. Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. We are in my bedroom today. Welcome, because I procrastinated this morning and did not film with good lighting in front of my bookshelves, so thus we are here. I am sitting in front of the window that faces my parking lot, and I'm making eye contact with every single person that's coming home from work, because naturally I waited until 5 o'clock when every single person in the area that I live comes home from their job. I will be chatting you through this unhaul and also awkwardly making eye contact with dozens of people in the parking lot. I can't wait. I have no idea how many books I'm actually going to be unhauling in this video. I'm assuming it's close to 30 because that's usually about where I'm at when my bag gets to the state that it's in right now. And I will be distributing these throughout little free libraries in my bookstore and wherever else as soon as this video is done, because these are taking up quite a lot of space. I also just want to take this time before we get started and say that I'm not going to be doing monthly wrap-ups on my channel anymore, because I find them boring and I don't like to make them and I don't like to watch them, so I'm just not going to make them on my channel anymore. I'm thinking that I will do like quarterly wrap-ups or quarterly check-ins instead. Also, I'm sorry the sun's coming out. You're going to see my blinds on my face. I'm really sorry. It's just, it is what it is. So a lot of these books I did read this month. Most of them are in videos and I'm not going to be talking about them in the wrap up. So this is where you're going to see them. Oh my god, I can't handle this lighting. Okay, we're going to rotate. That's the best I got for fixing this. Let me turn on the fairy lights. That'll make this marginally better. As always, I'm gonna try to remember the plot of these books, but since I'm unhauling them, that means that I probably didn't like them and therefore I do not think about the plot. So I'll do my best, but I'm not sure how successful I'll be. I'll try to give recommendations as I go through this, because a lot of times books that don't work for me work really well for other people. So anyway, I think that's enough of an intro. Let's get started. I'm so sorry about this lighting. It's so bad. The first book I'm getting rid of is The Dry by Jane Harper. I read this for a video that didn't end up happening, so I put the footage for it in a different video, my Romanticizing My Life video. This book was not romanticizing my life. It was fine. It was a 3-star. We're following our little detective guy. He's in the Australian outback farmland. He's trying to figure out who killed his best friend. And he also has a dark secret in his past, and I just was not super entertained. It wasn't twisty enough for me. It wasn't fun enough for me. I've read so many thrillers, detective novels, mysteries, whatever at this point that I am a hard woman to please when it comes to mysteries and thrillers, although I still love picking them up. But this one was not anything special for me, although I know that a lot of people love this and find this their favorite detective novel ever, so maybe if you've been interested, this is your sign to pick it up, or to not pick it up. I don't know. I'm also unhauling Middle Tide. This was a crime novel, book of the month pick for May. I was not impressed at all. I had a lot of issues with this book. The plot lines had nothing to do with one another. This book could have survived as its own thing if we just took any of those plot lines individually out of the story, or we made any of those plot lines their own story. There was also a fictionalized native tribe in here, which was confusing to me because it didn't really seem like that needed to happen for any reason, and I'm just a bit confused on why the author could not have just geographically picked a tribe that actually exists in this area to feature in this book, and I had a lot of questions. My biggest gripe with this, however, was the obscene amount of time that we spent following the main character chopping wood, putting the wood in his fireplace, and then chopping more wood. Enough said. This book is breaking my rules a bit because I usually do not unhaul books that I've given 4 stars, but I am unhauling Nothing to See Here. This is my 100th book of the year. It was a good fun time. I gave it 4 stars, but this is not something that I ever see myself turning to again, nor was it something that made an impact on me emotionally. So I can confidently say that this is a good, solid story. It's very unique, it's funny, it's goofy, it's got a lot of good things going for it, but it was too cheerful for me, and I am decidedly in my hater era, and I don't like joy in books. So this one is getting the kick. My April book of the month pick was Dragon Fruit. And again, this was like a pleasing read. I gave this 3.75 stars. I never see myself turning to this again. This is a young adult fantasy. We're following kind of some native islanders in their fantastical world. There's sea dragons, and this woman, I guess she's a girl. This is young adult. This girly is returning home after she's been exiled for something that happened with kind of these magical dragon powers several years ago. So there's a little bit of romance happening with the prince when she returns home. There's a quest that she must go on to find a dragon egg, and there's just a lot going on in here. The first half of the story, I honestly thought this could have been 5 stars. The second half of the story, I felt like didn't really have a purpose. Like, I was expecting it to pack a fuller punch, to have a bigger message, and it just didn't do that for me. So, while I loved this world, I just didn't love the execution of the storytelling in here. No surprise to anyone who watched this video where I read these Amanda Giatissa books, but I'm getting rid of both of them and I will not be reading anything from this author again. Her writing and storytelling does not work for me. She makes her plots very convoluted, a lot of things going on. Sorry, I'm trying to not hold this in the sun, but I think we're just gonna have to. She makes her plots so overly dramatic and so overly done that you cannot actually enjoy the thrilling aspects of the story. I will say she writes homage to her native roots in Sri Lanka. Geographically and culturally, that makes a big appearance in both of these books, but overall, I could have done without the mysteries in these books entirely, and I would have been so much happier. So, enough said. I'm also unhauling this poetry collection, All the Dead Are Holy. This was an interesting collection. I feel like it lacked a bit of cohesivity. That's not a word. Cohesion, I felt, was lacking in here between the different parts, although I did like a couple of poems in here quite a lot. I don't see myself ever turning to this again. It didn't do anything special for me, and I wouldn't really recommend it because I feel like there are so many collections that probably exist out there in the world that tie the theme of different deaths in life together better than this, and so I'm gonna be done with this now. Also, unhauling Into the Water by Paula Hawkins. This is a 3.5 star. This is a very, very heavily literary-sided mystery. Lots of characters in here, ominous tones, not a huge mystery, no huge plot twists. I really enjoyed the storytelling. I enjoyed the writing. I thought it was a fun time, but again, something that I just don't see myself turning to. Thrillers especially are very hard for me to keep on my shelves because the purpose of reading a thriller is not to enjoy like lavish writing, it's to figure out what happened, right? Like what the mystery is. And I struggle to find myself wanting to read a mystery after I already know how it ends. This didn't do anything wrong. This fared a lot better for me than The Girl on the Train, so I'm grateful for that. I'm glad to have read this, to have experienced this. I just don't care anymore. You know what I mean? It doesn't need to be taking up that valuable shelf space. Okay, couple more things. We're gonna go through quite a stack of Book of the Month books right now. I am filming a Book of the Month video, and I'm reading like 50 Book of the Month books for it. And originally I was going to keep them all on my shelves so I could hold them up to talk to you about them, but that is so much shelf space that they're taking up, and I don't have enough shelf space. So I realized I can just put my nice little picture in the screen during that video, and I can get rid of all of these. Crazy, I know. The Wishing Game. Again, I read this in the Romanticizing My Life video, and I didn't like this book. I gave it 3 stars because there were some things that were working in here really, really great for me. I loved our male narrator, Hugo. I loved our kind of mysterious father figure author man, Jack. I loved the actual setup and the riddles and the way that the story progressed, but I hated the main character. I hated her more than I've hated any character probably ever that I've read in a book. And again, it was too happy, and I'm not in my happy girl era. I'm in my hater girl era, and this had a much too perfect ending for me. If you want to hear my full thoughts, I'm pretty sure I have like over 10 minutes of me just ranting about this book in my Romanticizing My Life video. Go find it. You can hear our full discussion on this. And I have a couple of thrillers. The Collective by Allison Galen. I remember liking this. I read this a couple of years ago now. I believe this is like a 2022 pick, maybe. A 2021 pick. Okay, so I've had this book for a long time on my shelves. I read it, I enjoyed it. And this reminded me a lot of The Chain, if you've read that. I think that's what that book is called. This book is following grieving mothers. They are going to help each other do sinister things, get some revenge. I don't know, they go wild. Like I said, I don't really remember because this was like 3 years ago that I read this, so I had no desire to pick it back up. I kind of forgot that it was on my shelves at all, to be honest with you. I was organizing my shelves the other day. This was like tucked back behind a bunch of stuff, and now it's going away. Also getting rid of The Intern, which I read in January or February maybe. This is a legal thriller. Hi, Kat. Anyway, this is a legal thriller that I read in February. It's kind of funny, kind of silly, kind of goofy, like way more unhinged than it probably should be. But it was a fun time. I gave it 3.5 stars. We're following this judge and her legal intern, and they're involved in some shady business. There's lies, there's secrets. I can't say anything about the twist in here really surprised me, but there was a very prominent role from the cat in here. It's so convenient that you jumped up here right now. And I appreciated that so much. Like, the cat has her own story arc in here, and that was wonderful. If the cat had not existed in this book, it probably would have been like a 3, maybe even a 2.5. So the cat really saved it for me in here. And now I can pass this on to someone else who enjoys cats. Okay, still going with those book of the month books. I have The Magnolia Palace. Again, I think I read this in January or February. Oh my god, my neighbor's looking at me. Hold on. Okay, he's gone. You guys, I'm traumatized sitting in front of this window. I'm doing this for you. The Magnolia Palace. Again, I read this at the beginning of the year. I had such high expectations for this. I was so excited. There's like a mystery, a missing jewel. There's a murder, maybe, question mark. We're set in like jazz age New York in this super wealthy family. I was like, what's gonna not be to like about this? Well, a lot, actually. The book itself is approximately 330 pages in length. And I would say 130 of those pages were a complete waste of space that added absolutely nothing to the story and were the most boring thing that I've ever read in my entire life. So this was a 2-star. Not a fun time. Would I recommend this to anyone? Honestly, no. I also read The Fury by Alex Michaelides, who is an author that I quite enjoy, but I did not enjoy this book. And I think part of the reason was this is like too niche for me. Like, I was like too stupid to appreciate the niche that this author was trying to deliver in here. There's a very interesting narrative style. We're essentially following a group of friends. They're all actors, playwrights, whatever. They're on this Greek island for a holiday, and our narrator is telling us essentially the same story about this actress that gets murdered while they're all here on the island, over and over again through a different lens until we finally arrive at the solution. So like there's 4 or 5 acts in here, and we essentially get told the same story, but like different details every time. I remember really enjoying Act 2, and then all of the other acts just made me feel dumb. I thought the plot twist was kind of goofy, kind of silly. I liked the Grecian island vibes, but I just really overall didn't have a fun time, and I would give this like 2 stars. I think that's what I gave it. I don't know. So huge disappointment for me, because this was one of my most anticipated thrillers of the whole year, and now it's sadly in the UNhaul pile. Oh god, I forgot about this book. Okay, The Stranger Upstairs. This book received quite a bit of backlash when it came out. This is one of the worst thrillers that I've ever read. Full of plot holes, confusing setup, so many things introduced that were just never mentioned again. I'm okay suspending reality when reading a thriller, but I also feel like this leads you on so hard, and its pitch is not actually what it's about, and I didn't appreciate that, and I'm getting rid of this now. Also getting rid of The Removed by Brandon Hobson. I read this in March, maybe? I don't know why I'm telling you what month I read all of these. Y'all don't care. I actually didn't pick this as my book of the month pick. I just got this at my bookstore, and it happened to be a book of the month book. This book was fine. It was interesting. I just didn't have enough emotional connection to fully enjoy the story. We're following this family. I believe they're Cherokee. Their son has died 10-15 years ago. They're approaching the anniversary of his death. There's a lot of things happening in their lives, and they are kind of connecting to the spiritual world and their brother's spirit in different ways. And I really connected with the mom's story. And then the brother and the sister, I just felt like they were unnecessary and they actually took away from the conversations of grief in here rather than added to it. So I don't know. I gave this 3 stars. I think that this could be the perfect book for someone, but it was not the perfect book for me. Okay, we're nearing the end. I can see the bottom of the bag, kind of. All of these books I have talked about in videos on my channel, so we're just gonna breeze through them, okay, real quick. The Nanny by Gillian Macmillan. This was boring. The writing was fun. The twist was super predictable. I believe I remember reading a Goodreads review that said this is the most unthrilling thriller ever to be written, and I would have to agree, although the writing deserves some merit, and I gave it 2-3 stars, maybe, I don't remember. Boy in the Field. This is a weird little literary mystery. I liked the topics that it was talking about. It was just a bit too odd for me. Like, I felt like the mystery really took the back seat, even though the beginning of the story kind of leads you to believe that the whole book is going to be about how this murder that wasn't a murder, this attempted murder, I don't even know, because we didn't talk enough about the murder to know what went on. Oh my god, more neighbors are staring at me. Hold on. They're really taking their time to walk on the sidewalk as well. I'm just gonna stare at them. Overall, just not something memorable for me. I think I wrote a Goodreads review on this if you care. I'm pretty sure I wrote like a more significant explanation than what I'm trying to say to you now. Like I said, haven't thought about this because I didn't like it that much. Just a weird little book. I'm also unhauling The Wizard of Oz, which makes me kind of sad, but I just didn't like this. I'm sorry, but I did not like this. The movie, the Broadway play, whatever, like, go watch Wicked. That's all the rage right now. Don't read this. I thought this was boring. I was informed by one of my subscribers like several months ago when I talked about this that sometimes the illustrated editions are abridged. I did my research on this and this is not the abridged version. At least I don't think so. Like, other illustrated classics editions say if they're abridged, and this one doesn't say that. So I'm assuming it's not. And like, overall, it just didn't feel as iconic as I thought it was gonna be. So go listen to the Wicked soundtrack, go watch the movie, go do whatever you need to do to enjoy The Wizard of Oz in some other format than reading the book. Sorry. I know, it's iconic, but not iconic enough, I guess. Okay, we're down to the last 3. How exciting. I'm so sorry for all the cat hair in the air. Little kitty is wagging her tail and she's shedding like crazy right now. The Silent Wife by A.S.A. Harrison. I don't know if I actually read this for a video or not. I think I did. I enjoyed this book, actually. I gave it 3.5 stars. It was a domestic thriller, which I've kind of been getting back into this year. Like, I've been having a fun time with that because I took a long break from reading them. This book has a lot of bad reviews, and I think it's because people go in expecting this to be a thriller, and it's not a thriller. There's very little thrilling things going on, and like, we know what's gonna happen. Like, we know from the beginning of the story that someone's gonna die. You know what I mean? And we know that the spouse is the killer. So it's kind of just an examination of a marriage in downfall and what finally makes you turn to the point where you kill your spouse. So it's more of a psychological examination of a failing marriage almost than it is like a thriller or a mystery. You know what I mean? So I liked this, but I want to let someone else read it now because I had a fun time with it. I'm not going to pick it back up, but I think someone else should enjoy this because it was a good time, and I would recommend it to you if the way I just pitched it sounds good, because I think I did an awesome job pitching this right now. I have The Downstairs Girl by Stacey Lee. I was really excited to read this one as well. I enjoy historical fiction. I really do, believe it or not, based off of this list. This again was just like not enough. I didn't have enough of an emotional response to this to really feel something. And like, there's sad things that happen in here, but they didn't really make me feel sad. I also just felt like certain details of plot either needed to be expanded on more or not included at all. And I feel like our protagonist just lost her way a little bit from what the author set her out to be at the beginning of the book. I'm really sorry for her head being in literally this entire video. She's more on screen than I am. If that's annoying, I guess you're probably not watching anymore. Anyway, I'm unhauling this now, and I'm not going to miss it. I just don't think young adult historical fiction works for me, and I've learned my lesson. I'm gonna stay away from it now. The last book I'm unhauling is Permanent Record by Mary H.K. Choi. I have tried to read this probably 6 times now, and I can't. Young adult romance is abhorring to me, to be honest with you. I hate young adult romance. And that is not this author's fault. I didn't actually read this book. I'm just unhauling it because I know that I'm never gonna read this book. I bought it because it was on sale and the cover was pretty. I think I spent $4.99 on this book. I don't really have anything else to add. This is the last book in the video. Thanks so much for hanging out with me, for supporting my channel, for watching me get rid of all these books. I appreciate you. If you've read any of these books, let me know in the comments what you thought. We might as well just embrace the lighting. I'll see you in another video soon. Bye.